Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to look at identity access management and we're going to look at how we can use roles. So roles enable us to interact with the AWS platform without having to, pass our EC2 instances, access key IDs and secret access keys. And roles aren't just used for EC2, they're used for basically every other AWS service as well. And we're going to have a look at that in the AWS console. So this is a lab and you will need to log into the AWS console. Okay, so here I am in the AWS console, and if I just go over to services, I'll be able to create a role under Identity Access Management, which is under Security, Identity, and Compliance. And we have actually already created a role before. If you click on roles, you'll be able to see some roles in here, and you should see a cross-region replication role. So we created that role automatically when we enabled cross-region replication for our buckets. So let's go ahead and create a new role. And in here it says choose the service that will be using this role. So you can see here a list of services that support roles. We're obviously going to be using EC2. So click on EC2 and go ahead and hit next. And then it's going to ask us to attach a policy. So I'm going to give us administrator access for this role. And then we're just going to go ahead and hit next. And then the role name, I'm just going to call it admin access. And that's it. And I'm going to go ahead and create my role. So that has now created my role. Let's go over to EC2 and we can find it under compute. I'm sure you know that by now. And in here we've got our running instance. So at the moment, this is the EC2 instance from the last lab. I'm going to go over and SSH into it. Okay, so here I am in my EC2 instance. And if you just go over to your home directory, if you remember, if we type in ls, we can't see anything, but there is a hidden directory, which is the .aws directory. So let's go ahead and delete that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type rm-rf and then .aws, and this will delete that directory. So it has now deleted it. If we go try and go into it, you can see now that there's no such file or directory. And if we type AWS S3 we won't be able to access S3 anymore because we've just deleted all the credentials that allowed us to do it. We can recreate that directory just by running AWS configure and then entering in our access key ID and secret access key. I'm not going to do that, however. I'm just going to leave it, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go and attach a role to an EC2 instance. So I'm back in the AWS console. I'm going to click on my EC2 instance, and I'm going to go over to Actions, and I'm going to go to my instance settings, and in here you can see Attach Replace IAM Role. So let's go ahead and click on that, and we're going to give this role, we're going to attach our admin access role, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Apply, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit Closed. So that has now attached the role. You should be able to see it down here somewhere. So here we go, IAM role, administrator access. If you click on that, you'll be able to see the role itself and you'll be able to go in and see the actual policy. You can click on the JSON, and the policy is actually quite interesting because basically it's saying effect, allow, action, wildcards. So allow any action on any resource, and that is administrator access. So that will give you full access to the AWS platform. Let's go back over to our SSH terminal. So I'm back in my SSH terminal, and now if I type AWS S3 we'll be able to see our S3 buckets. So there we go. We now have full administrator access to our AWS environment. But likewise, if we try and go to the AWS hidden directory, it's not there, and there's no credentials being stored on this EC2 instance now. So if this EC2 instance got hacked, hackers would still be able to run the AWS command line, they'd still be able to do stuff, but they wouldn't be able to take our access key ID or secret access key. So this would be their only port of entry into our AWS account. So let's go ahead and delete that EC2 instance. So I'm just going to go back to the dashboard, back to EC2, and then I'm going to go into my running instance and I'm going to terminate that instance. And there we go, that's terminated. So what are my exam tips? Well, roles are far more secure than storing your access key ID and secret access key on individual EC2 instances. Roles are much easier to manage. So imagine if you did lose your access key ID and secret access key, and you had a fleet of 1,000 EC2 instances that key was installed on. You'd have to go in and update the access key ID and secret access key on all those 1,000 EC2 instances. Whereas if you just had a role, you could actually just go in and change the role, and that change would take effect immediately. Roles can be assigned to EC2 instances after it's created, both using the console as well as the command line. fine. Roles are universal, so you can use them in any region. So we created that role in IAM. We were able to use it in the London region. Likewise, we'd be able to use it in the Northern Virginia region or anywhere else in the world. So that is it for this lecture, guys. In the next lecture, we're going to look at bash scripting, and this is an awful lot of fun. I love bash scripting with AWS. So if you've got the time, please join me in the next lecture. Thank you.